Welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast.
Where we talk about animal control, shelters, and animal welfare, and the people doing the work.
With your hosts,
Ashley Bishop.
And sometimes Ashley Bishop.
And Daniel Ettinger, helping people help animals. All right, welcome back. Another episode of Keep It Humane, the podcast. I don't know why I do that. Keep It Humane, the podcast with Daniel, and this time just Wisconsin Bishop, who is now no longer sometimes Bishop.
Yep.
She is back full time. We're happy to have you full time. And then shout out to Texas Bishop. She's just dealing with an ailment. Hope to have her back next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Welcome back, dude.
Hello. It's good to be back.
It's good to have you back. I mean, it's not like you were gone, but it was interesting having you every other week. So
yeah,
just toying with us, I guess you could say.
I mean, got to keep it interesting. Can't make the listeners think I'm always going to be around.
Totally. Question for you. So, Actually, before we start, this episode is brought to you by the Cat 2 Challenge stickers. Please go to our website, keepithumane.com, and buy a couple of those because those help. The proceeds help fund spay and neuter services with Bissell, the Fix Our Future program. So if you go there, check out Cat 2 Challenge, keepithumane.com, Cat 2, and get the stickers, help support spay and neuter. And don't forget, the certified animal control professional it's almost live, dude.
Almost.
It is being peer reviewed as we speak. I've had a few people already get done with the module, got some really great feedback, and so I'm just excited to get that posted and live, hopefully sometime this week, actually. So when you're hearing this, so check that out too, keepithumane.com. You can check all the stuff there. Certified animal control professional. Just a whole new way of learning. Excited about that. So
yeah,
that's what we got going on.
It'll be definitely a lot of fun.
Yeah. How are you? How are things up in Wis Hot Skin? See what I
mean? Well, if we could stop getting the air quality alerts, that would be good.
God, those picture that picture you screenshotted. Ugh.
Yeah. We are currently at very unhealthy with 288.
Ooh, what are we?
So it's very. Oh, hold on. Maybe, yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, previously we were completely off the charts. Literally, the little dot zoomed across the screen and was off the charts at like 547. So my heart goes out to everybody dealing with the wildfires up in Canada and in Minnesota at the is it the backwater? No, I can't remember. Something waters in Minnesota. Aren't there fires in Colorado now too?
There were. So I was just out there, and there were a couple of different ones going on, and it's just scary all over. Like having like I mean, if you're directly in it, it's scary because obviously it affects you, like your home, your family. Like that's just scary. But then like where I was, it just cleared up, but you could still like smell the smoke.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild. Speaking of Colorado, I have a what would you do moment.
Uh-oh.
I don't know if this will ever leave me from, all the time I've been in the field in my career, and whether I'm in a desk position or whether I go and work for Road and Bridge or just retire. I have no idea in life, but this I don't think will ever leave me. So I'm sitting at a cabin at a natural hot springs pool, and we are in the mountains, so it's typically cooler, but it was in the 80s. It was about 85 for the high of the day. Now this is in the morning. I'm actually sitting on the porch doing some work on the module, the certified animal control professional module, just getting it finalized, if you will. And I see someone drive by with a dog in the back of a pickup truck. Now that I know we're in a mountain town, rural, but I just don't love unsecured animals in pickup trucks. It's just not. And I know that there might not be laws against it's just I just don't love it. I just don't love it. You can get creative with the laws like unsecure load since it's property, blah blah blah. But anyway, so that alone, I was just kind of like, eh. And then I noticed that this person parks and it's still early, so it's in the 70s and it's a little shady where they parked. But I watched them get out with their towel and walk over to the pool so they could relax in the nice the warm water since it is a hot springs. There wasn't really, unless you go into the creek. The creek is ice cold. So I'm like, here we go. And I was like, why can't I just let it go, Daniel? It'll be
Right.
fine. Just let
Not
it
your
go.
monkeys, not your circus.
Yeah, but here I go. So my kids are going to the pool, and I was like, "Hey, girls, when you're on your way, will you just stop by that truck right there and see how this dog's doing?" So they stop, and it's a Bernese mountain dog
Oh, jeez.
named Ruby, and she has a tag
Oh,
on. She has a tag on, and just a lovely dog. Just a lovely dog, like super friendly. Berners are usually pretty cool, and
yeah.
she was fine at that point. So get all the information. You know how we do all the open source stuff. Get all the information, know who this person is, get a photo, like know who we're looking for. Well, we didn't even have to do anything because some other woman saw this lady go in to the thing and woke her ass up and said, "Hey, you need to get your dog." And so I already texted this lady and called. She never called back or texted, but I saw her move her truck. So she was going to stay and move her truck and just put it more in the shade. So I was like, ma'am, I was like, can I just have the dog for a few hours? Like, it can hang here in this cabin where it's cool, water. My kids will love playing with it, blah, blah, blah. And sure enough, we fostered a dog for like 2 hours.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Just leave the dog at home, though, bro.
Yeah. I mean, if people were smart and responsible, we would be out of jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's a very good point. That is a very, very, very good point. So
But
yeah, that was my excitement for the weekend.
so even when you're not working, you're working.
Always.
Hmm.
Always. Well, what do you think? Should we introduce our guests?
I think we should.
All right, let's do this. Let us bring in um, Erin Stacks from Back to the Wild Rehab, who is the director and founder of the rehab. Erin, welcome to Keep It Humane, the podcast.
Good morning, you two.
Good
How
morning.
how the heck are you?
I am good. And might I add my opinion? You were correct about the open bed trucks with the dogs.
It's just so dumb, right?
Yeah.
It also poses such a danger when you go around corners. Dogs can fly out and get injured.
Hmm.
It just shouldn't really be done. It's cute, but it shouldn't be done.
It shouldn't be done. Absolutely shouldn't be done.
Well, and for most dogs, it's scary and stuff too. And
I
uh,
remember one of my coworkers had a call once where the person left the shelter and put the dog in the bed of the truck, but they tethered it somehow. And it just so happened that they were leaving the shelter at the same time, and the dog hopped over the bed. So the dog's now hanging out of the truck. And that officer was able to follow, get them to stop. But it was real traumatic. Like I remember talking to that officer about it and everything. So here's like just a pro tip. It's a pro tip. Don't put your dog in the back of the fucking truck. Just either leave it at home, get a nice crate
mhm.
that's covered, or put it in the freaking cab, okay? Anyway, Aaron, welcome to the show. Our listeners are like, who's Aaron? So who is Aaron? Talk about Aaron. We need to know who Aaron is and talk about Back to the Wild Rehab, please.
Um, well, my background is it's really weird. I became a journeyman welder by the time I was 18. Always been an animal lover, and then I joined the military where I did welding, but I was also an augmentee for security police. When I got out of the military, I went to school for criminal justice, but I chose to go the animal side of law enforcement
Mhm.
instead of the people side.
Okay.
So I worked in a shelter, then I became an animal control officer, and I was also an animal cruelty investigator in Detroit and Pontiac, Michigan, stuff like that. And
Okay.
now I'm sorry. And now I'm also a disabled veteran, so I can't work on the streets anymore, which I miss terribly. But in an effort to still keep helping animals, I founded this nonprofit wildlife rescue and rehabilitation.
And how long has it been going on?
21 years.
Okay. That's
Wow.
awesome. So you were
Any idea
last
of
in the
how many?
oh, go ahead. I was just going to ask you were last in the field when?
I was last, yes, I was animal control officer
How long ago was that?
many moons ago,
Okay, got it.
which I
Okay.
don't like to admit.
No, no problem. No problem.
And I miss it every day.
I get it. I totally get it.
With your rehab facility up and running for that long, how do you know about how many animals you've been able to save?
You know what? Tell you the truth, I haven't kept count.
Okay.
Um, we used to take
That's a
in
long
more.
time.
Yeah, I mean, we used to take in more, obviously, when I was younger and had more energy. Um, but we still take in some. We've got some really good sub-permittees that work with us. But I'm a small facility. I started out in just a quarter corner of my 2.5 car garage, and then I took over half the garage. Then I ripped out my husband's tool bench,
Oh
moved him to
no.
the shed, and now I have the whole 2.5 car garage. And I still run out of rooms so fast because I'm the only licensed state and federally licensed rehabber up in my area.
Okay. How many rehabbers are there in the state of Michigan?
I think there's a little over 100.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So there used to be so much more when I first started, but with the expense of us doing it ourselves and many other issues, a lot of people are just quitting.
So what's it take in the state to become a licensed rehabber?
In our state, you have to take the basic wildlife rehabilitation course, usually through the IWRC, which is the International Wildlife Rehabilitation Council.
Okay.
Um, when I started, I did not have to have volunteer hours, but I did have to have vet recommendations. I had those recommendations from when I was an officer. So now you have to have volunteer hours. So then you have to build your enclosures for the animals that you predict you want to rehabilitate and get them inspected, get your class, and once that's all done, they will give you a permit.
So of all the different species that you have handled and helped with, what has been your favorite?
I have to say my ultimate favorite is osprey.
Okay.
Oh,
So I don't see them very often, but I have had them several times. I do like the birds of prey, but right now I have some 7 long-tailed weasels, and I call them the 7 dwarfs, and they're so hilarious just to watch.
many years ago at uh I mean, we're talking close to 20 plus years ago, we had somebody bring in a animal that we were told was a ferret and that it bit somebody, and so we had it in this cage and we are trying to feed it, but like it was so aggressive we couldn't like we were literally like dropping in sprinkling food from the top of the cage, and the vet comes to do the bite check and he's like, well, the reason it's so aggressive is because it's not a ferret, it's a weasel.
Mm.
I just had a bite case, and the people called me and said it was somebody's wild ferret. And so the young gentleman picked it up and it latched onto the end of his finger and wouldn't let go. Luckily, they were able to maintain it. And my husband went and picked it up and it ended up being a mink.
Oh,
Oh,
nice.
wow. Wow.
So, yeah, they're often confused with ferrets.
Yeah.
Do you have badgers up there in Michigan?
I wish. Not in my part of Michigan. I'm not going to claim to know up
Okay.
north,
Got it.
but when I started 21 years ago, I love otters.
Okay.
I never thought I would see a river otter in my part of the
Oh,
state.
wow.
And at the end of this past winter, I actually got a huge male in.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
So that was a really neat experience. But he was hit by a car.
Ah,
So I never count out anything. I also love armadillos, and I've been tracking them over the years. Last year, they were at the border of Indiana and Ohio, about 3.5 miles away.
hmm.
And so it's inevitable they're here in Michigan.
Um, what would you say is the most difficult or most underrated portion of being a wild animal rehabber?
In relation to the animals or other aspects?
Yes.
So rehabilitating wildlife is a 50 feet 50 tug on your heart
Hmm.
24/7. So we love taking care of the animals because we love the animals. We have to keep a proper boundaries so they don't habituate on us
Hmm.
and get imprinted because we want them to know how to survive in the wild.
Sure.
Then I know, especially with me, when I get overly full and I have to tell people, I'm sorry, I'm full, I have no space, that breaks my heart
Does
because
that happen a lot?
every year uh I get overly full because I'm not a huge facility. I don't really fundraise. I fund it out of my own pocket, my husband's
Wow.
pocket, of course.
Yeah.
And so we get full very fast. And I get a lot of frustration from the public, and some people, get very verbal about it.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
But and that just tears rehabilitators up even more because we do want to save them all. It's just that we don't have room, we don't have time, we just don't have the space.
I think that is an incredibly responsible response that you are turning people away when you know that you are at your capacity, because that's a very contentious note among any kind of rehab shelter, any type of facility is, well, you're here to take them in, so you should take everything in. But if you can't properly care for them, then you're not doing them any benefit in either way.
And I agree 100%. There are many rehabbers across the country that will brag, I've taken over 100 of these species, over 100 of these. Well, you may have high numbers, but what about the quality of rehabilitation?
Sure.
And
Mm-hmm.
that should be the bigger number. Is your quality? I brag about my reuniting and keeping wildlife with their moms before I'll brag about intakes.
Mm-hmm.
Good for
Tell
you.
tell me like how the animals show up at your place. So are the public bringing it in? Is animal control? Is police bringing it in? Like how do you get them?
It's kind of a mix of everything, but mainly the public,
Okay.
because they're out there more and they're coming across these animals. It takes a lot because human nature, I've come to understand, is as soon as they see a baby animal or even an injured animal, first thing they want to do is give it food or water.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to explain to people, when you go to the emergency room, do they give you steak and potatoes? So
Mm-mm.
they don't, because they're generally giving fluid and assessing injuries. And then I have a lot of people that just, I have a nest of baby bunnies in my yard and my dogs are there, and I would rather share preventative measures to keep the dogs away from the nest
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
than take those babies from their mom. And a lot of people aren't like, don't like that. They just want to be able to get rid of them and not have to deal with them.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Totally.
And the same
Absolutely.
thing with whitetail fawns. Whitetail fawns, the moms leave them alone for so long during the day so as not to bring attention to them. those fawns listen. Unlike our kids, when we tell them stay, these fawns listen. And humans aren't used to that. They think they should be seeing a mom carrying a bottle 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the fawn's eyes, I call them Medusa eyes. Instead of turning you to cement, they melt your heart. So everybody wants to just save them.
Mm-hmm.
And the best way to save them is to leave them with their mom.
Totally.
As far as fawns go, there I know it's been on Facebook that, if their ears are crinkly and stuff, that means they're dehydrated and then they need help. How accurate is that?
Um, I know that's put out a lot, but it's not 100%. We're looking for other signs as well, to tell us the body mass. And a lot of times I'll tell people, let's wait the 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
And if they're still concerned, I'll go out and do an actual physical check. I'll check the belly to see if mom had fed it that morning.
Mm-hmm.
And I do a physical exam of that fawn to determine whether or not it's appropriate to remove it. But a lot of information that's put out on Google and other pages, they make that seem like it's 100%. And every animal is different, just like every person is different.
So do you deal with any wild birds, wild like birds of prey, any of that type of stuff, or is that specific to a different rescue?
No, I rehab everything from frogs to eagles
Okay. So talk
with
about
this.
just the reason I bring that up is I feel like the fledgling season just makes everybody crazy. How do you
It,
hand how do you handle that?
a lot of education and patience.
Okay.
Um, there are many people that, just don't know about fledglings. We
Hmm.
just have to spend some time educating. And oftentimes if they're overly concerned, I'll have them send me pictures or a video. And then I'll just explain to them, yep, that's a fledgling. And I tell them once they get out of the nest, they have no wing muscles to carry their fat bodies
Hmm.
because they've
It's
basically
a
been sitting
great
in a
way to
lazy
say it.
boy.
Yeah.
So, they have to exercise, but mom and dad do take care of them on the floor, on the ground.
Hmm. Sure do. What about, I guess, so a lot of people don't realize, I think, especially west of the Mississippi River, for whatever reason, rabies is just isn't as common as it is on the East Coast. And what I mean by that is like, and I don't know how it probably happens up there in Michigan, but I recall reading about rabies vaccination drops for wildlife in Ohio. So they, areas that have a high rabies population, they basically put the vaccination in like a kind of like a treat for the wildlife and they fly over and drop it. How prevalent is rabies in where you are?
It's more common in skunks and bats. Um, I think we've had one, maybe possibly two raccoon rabies in since like in 55 years. So it's not very common in raccoons. And when it comes to vaccinations, I'm on the minority, I think, thinking where I've never vaccinated the wildlife. Um,
Okay.
I've read studies where it's not really effective unless you're dealing with the entire population, but we don't have species specific for raccoons. And I've just always been one that says, who maybe we're introducing these medications, we can't set up a booster shot clinic in the woods in a year from now to give them boosters. So I question whether or not we're weakening that natural immune system.
Mm.
Well, and then the cost effectiveness too, if it only, if it never gets boosted, is the cost worth, or could you put that money towards something else?
And that's been a big question of mine too. I'm a firm believer in we're here to do a certain job. And at some point, we're overstepping. We're going too much into that wild system of nature.
Mm.
So, and it's not proven effective. So why waste that money when I could put that money towards saving so many other animals and the cost of that?
No, I get that. I think, I mean, with rabies, people will just argue since it's such a deadly, irreversible virus, that's the one that should probably be, um,
Eradicated.
yeah, that's the one we don't want floating around there for sure.
And I've heard of places doing the airdrops for vaccinations, but then they're addressing a population where they're going to get more of a result, whereas rehabbers are only vaccinating certain ones that we get in. So, how effective is it to the population where they're being released?
Well, Erin, I have to put you on the spot this time. Because you know
Hmm.
why? Because I feel like you're built for this. You made a post just a few days ago. I'm going to read it. So if you're not following back to Wild Rehab, back to the Wild Rehab, it's back the number two, the Wild Rehab on Facebook. You should follow it because there's some good stuff on there. But there's a post and it's tagged, so I'll just read it. St. Clair County Sheriff's Office. You are not state licensed, federally licensed, or have any education experience with wildlife or their behavioral tendencies. Why are you sending deputies out on non-emergency wildlife calls? Wildlife calls are not your jurisdiction or discretion. Can you just talk about what prompted that? And good for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty blunt and honest. Um, we've had problems in our county with the sheriff's department, the board of commissioners, and the prosecutor overstepping their bounds and interfering with animal control operations, especially in animal cruelty cases, where they're wanting to give people back animals when it's extreme cruelty cases.
Mm,
Um, and they're just overstepping an influence there. And I heard that, well, it was published that they were now going to do any livestock animals and then wildlife.
mm,
So I had been in contact with the county administrator, the sheriff's department, asking, why are you guys saying you're taking over wildlife? And they all said they weren't doing that. But since then, I've gotten repeated calls from the public telling me, oh, a deputy came out for this,
mm,
or a deputy is en route. Can you respond? Like for a goose sitting in a field. Well, it's not injured, it doesn't need rehab, but they don't have the experience to evaluate that. And I don't want anybody going out and dispatching an animal because they don't understand the behavior. Even if we have a goose with a broken leg that's old, it's calcified within 3 to 5 days. It starts to calcify. But if that goose has use of its wings
mm.
and we can't repair an injured leg, I would err on the side of life rather than bringing it in to where we can't repair a leg. So I have no problem with the deputies going out on obviously a down deer call if it's been hit by a car.
Mhm.
Please, by all means, you know, end the suffering. But I do have a problem. Recently, they were going to go out to a Canadian goose that they said was vicious and foaming at the mouth.
It had
And
rabies.
There it is.
I think that's where they were going, but not positive. And I talked to the person, the citizen who called, and she said she called the deputies. And she explained to me what happened. Her husband and daughter were walking. The goose was following, being aggressive. So more than likely it had a nest nearby or youngins. So it was just doing what they do.
Mm,
And it followed to their door and was in front of the glass, pecking at the glass. And I'm like, yeah, because now it sees another goose in the reflection.
hmm
And it's probably so called foaming at the mouth because it was over 90 degrees that day.
Yep.
And he's acting a fool. So, he was probably extremely thirsty. So I calmed the lady down and told her, call me if anything changes. But then I had to call the sheriff's department and say, do you guys have this on your list? And they said, yeah. And I said, you don't need to go. So, there's no reason for a deputy to waste those resources
Sure.
uh, on a call that I can evaluate by phone.
But it's
Hmm.
fun. It's fun for the deputy. They don't have to deal with stupid people. They can just deal with a fun animal for a little bit.
Well, no, sometimes you have to deal with the people too, but
Cobra chickens
um,
are not fun animals to deal with.
well, but I really, a lot of these deputies, in my opinion, I haven't had any of them openly say anything to me, but I'm sure a lot of them, you know, didn't become law enforcement to deal with this kind of stuff.
Sure.
Hmm.
It's fair.
They're being forced to handle dogs with control sticks with no training, and they automatically deem they're vicious and shoot them when animal people are trained
Hmm.
to read these signs.
You know, springtime, we used to always get calls in about bears coming into the city.
Hmm.
And dispatch would try to send me the call, and I would literally over the radio tell them, no, I'm not going to the bear call. Tell anybody that calls in about the bear to not poke the bear and they'll be just fine.
Don't poke the bear.
Like, leave the freaking bear alone.
And the bigger problem we have, I think, within the country, but especially here in Michigan, we have a lot of habitat destruction,
Mm,
Hmm.
whether it be for construction or our own natural resources department wiping out habitat for lumber sales.
Hmm.
mhm,
So these animals are not, in the woods wildlife anymore. They're urban wildlife because they're being forced in to areas that are more populated because they no longer have a territory
Hmm.
and
Yeah,
people want
makes
them
sense.
removed.
Yeah. Yeah, they forget that like the coyote has been roaming the area long before your house was built.
mhm,
They
Right.
forget that
And especially
stuff.
with the foxes, it's going to kill my dog. It's going to kill my children. I'm like, no, it's not.
Mm. Not
mm-mm.
a fox definitely will not. Yes.
But I get the calls.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember a phone call I took. It was a voicemail left for me, and thankfully I got to only leave a voicemail back for the person, and I didn't have to talk to them because they called because there was a hawk attacking little birds in the air, and I was supposed to do something about it.
I mean, that's what certain
I was
hawks
like,
do.
thankfully, my voicemail was something to the effect of, "It's called the circle of life. I, I'm not going to do anything about the hawk because this is what the hawk does."
I do get those calls with the bird feeders. A hawk keeps getting the birds on my bird feeder. And I'm like, that's because they're usually a Cooper's hawk or a sharpshin, and that's how they hunt.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of people that just don't have a clear understanding, whether it come to domestic rescue or wildlife. We can't intervene. I'm not going to go out and write a rabbit a trespassing nest or ticket for putting a nest in your yard because technically it was the rabbit's first.
Hmm.
So, Aaron, please like dig deep into the crates here and just share with our listeners like a story from start to finish that really stuck with you in the rehab world, like something that either you went out and helped or someone brought in, some cool story that our listeners, would love to hear.
Jeez,
I gotta put you on
there's
the
so
spot.
many. I mean, there's good ones, there's bad ones.
Well, we want good.
Um,
We want good for this
we
program.
want good.
Yes.
Okay. Many years ago, a doe was hit by a big truck, the 18 wheelers on the freeway.
Hmm.
And the state police called me, I think it was like 2 or 3 in the morning. She was pregnant with twins and they were knocked out of her.
Oh,
One unfortunately had passed. One was laying there on the median on the side of the road. And it was so tiny. And we named her Miracle. And she ended up surviving.
wow.
And I have a picture of her on my Facebook page somewhere where I've got a dollar bill next to her for
Oh,
size
Oh yeah,
reference.
it's on your Facebook page. It's
yep.
yeah, I saw that
Yeah,
earlier.
there's one I just got recently that I did that too.
Okay.
The
So small.
Miracle was
So
smaller than
small.
that one.
Oh wow. Okay.
But my favorites are always the people that are willing to get to receive education, especially about the fawns or the bunnies. And I end up getting a video or pictures back where mom came back, look, and they're nursing, because then it shows teamwork between,
Mm,
us and the person that called us, and they're happy to see it. I'm ecstatic to see it. So those are kind of my favorites, the ones that end up really good for the animal, but beneficial for humans to get a really good understanding.
I love that. Bishop?
Education before enforcement.
Yeah. Yeah, for
I'm
sure.
sorry?
Education before enforcement.
And I think that's, Erin's
Right.
background in being in animal control really helps with that, right?
It does. I am considered, I think, one of the minorities in Michigan when it comes to rehabilitation and my beliefs. I think it comes from my background from animal cruelty investigation and control,
Hmm.
where I very firmly follow the law.
Hmm.
Um, whether I agree with it or not, it's there for a reason. So, but if I get a fawn in with a couple of broken legs or even one leg that's broken two places, I'm not going to put that fawn through surgery.
Sure.
So I'm not going to pin it. I'm not going to plate it. It puts it behind on the rehab schedule. But then when I release it, what kind of pain am I inflicting in the future when it's walking in the
Mm,
cold snow or the bitter weather?
totally.
So I just don't go to extremes like that. I always like to say I'm a wildlife advocate and I act in the best interest of the animal. I'm not going to act because humans think I'm being mean. They want to see it on crutches or whatever.
I hate
You
to
know,
laugh, but like, no, you're right. Like nature isn't designed for that. Darwin's theory of natural selection is just that. And I think people forget that, movies and happy endings make everything look like it has, this awesome chance to live that way. It doesn't. And we have to be realistic because there's, other animals that we could spend money on to help
Mhm.
rehab when we can't, you're not going to have a three-legged deer hopping around in the middle of
right. But
January.
if you have a surgery, like I had a knee surgery, that acts up every time in the cold, in the rain. And
Mhm.
I can't help but wonder if it does that to these animals, especially when
It
we're doing
has to.
surgeries
Yeah,
on
it has to.
immature bones that are still in the growth period.
It has to. Absolutely has to.
So I that's my beliefs. I don't fault anybody for the way that they rehab, to each his own. Different doesn't make it bad or good. It just makes it different from the way I may do things.
Hmm. Absolutely. Well, Aaron, we've reached the point of the show where it's our favorite time, unless Bishop, you got something else.
Nope, I'm
Uh,
good.
so, Aaron, I know you talked earlier about technology, and so I don't want to scare you too much, but we do this thing on Keep It Humane, the podcast, where we put your name into an AI database and ask AI, who is Erin Stacks? So that's what we did. We asked AI, who is Erin
Oh no.
Stacks? I'm going to have a question for you here in a second, but I'm going to read it. Brought to you by ChatGPT. Based on publicly available information, Erin Stacks is a Michigan licensed wildlife rehabber, U.S. military veteran, and founder director of Back to the Wild Rehab, a nonprofit wildlife rehabilitation organization based in Fort. I don't even how do you
Crash
say
it.
how do you say it?
Crash it.
Okay, sure. Gratiot, Michigan. Some highlights of her work include wildlife rehabilitation. She has spent many years rehabbing injured, orphaned, and sick wildlife, including birds, small mammals, and deer. She is licensed by the Michigan Department of Natural Resources to care for various species. Back to the Wild Rehab, her nonprofit, specializes in rescuing, rehabilitating, and releasing native Michigan wildlife back into the wild whenever possible. partnership with the DNR and Consumers Energy, Erin has worked with the Michigan DNR and Consumers Energy on projects to rehabilitate orphaned white-tailed deer fawns, release them onto protected land where they have a better chance of survival. So, really quick, how does Consumers Energy play into this?
Consumers Energy allows, they've given me what's called like a land license,
Okay.
and fawns are mandated to go back to the county that they come from.
Okay.
Um, my fawns are not human friendly.
Got it.
So I literally have to tranquilize mine at the time of release.
Okay.
And we put them in a horse trailer. We transport them to consumers' land, wake them up, and therefore we're abiding by the law, but we're kind of giving them a little bit better chance to survive in the wild without being dependent on humans.
Okay. Got it.
Nice.
That's really cool.
And consumers helps us with that. There's a lot of DNR officers that we work with very well and have in the past. As for DNR as a whole, then I can't brag about them.
Well, let's brag about this. The last thing that ChatGPT said about you is veteran recognition. In 2023, she received a Veteran Hero Award recognizing her community service and positive impact through wildlife and rehab. So, talk about that really quick.
I was surprised too. It was the first um, Veteran of the Year award that Michigan Veterans Affairs had ever done. And I did not know, but somebody had submitted my name. And then I got an email saying that my name was submitted and they gave me the award. It was a lot of honor, to not only be a veteran, but to be recognized for helping my community at the same time. Sorry. Um, so it was an honor and a privilege to have that award, but nobody really knows about it.
Well, we do now, and congratulations on that award. That's really awesome. Erin,
I'm proud of it.
was there anything else you'd like to share with our listeners before we wrap up?
Um, Only that I'm hoping that the public and rehabbers will always work as a team and hear each side out and err on the side of what's in the best interest of the animal.
Man, that could be said for this entire profession, couldn't it, Bishop?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's same thing with domestic, but domestic and wildlife, it seems to be the line has blurred so much
Hmm,
that we have to kind of remind ourselves.
understood. Well, it's been wonderful having you. And for our listeners, check out the Facebook page, back the number two, the Wild Rehab. So again, back to the Wild Rehab. Check out her Facebook page. Really great stuff, Erin. We appreciate you. Let's
I
continue to help.
appreciate you guys having me.
Of course, yeah. We we love hearing these stories, and it's really great that you're doing the work. So let's continue to help people
Help animals.
and
Yes.
keep it humane.